Welcome to the inaugural, oh my goodness, I can't pronounce.
Inaugural.
The first episode of the first episode of Commander's Corner. Hopefully a long-lived series of discussions about Command & Conquer Rivals and the Command & Conquer community. What we have here today is myself, GenSilos. We have JadeXyan.
Hello.
And Captain Benzie.
Ahoy.
So seeing as this is our first foray into the discussion, why don't we all talk about our thoughts on Rivals since its inception to now, like the progress we've seen and what we like and what we feel like it's heading in a good direction or not. Starting with you, Benzie.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Well, it's been a bit of an interesting ride, I think, in that ultimately from the reveal back at E3 and the absolutely massive negative outcry of a beloved franchise being taken by EA and turned into a mobile game, to where we stand now, which is actually a general feeling that the people who have tried it seem to all really be enjoying it. If you look on YouTube nowadays, we've gone from, oh my goodness, this game sucks, even though I haven't played it, here's why, to actually I sat down and tried it and I was wrong. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that really hits the head on the nail as far as I think my personal experience with the game. When I first played it, I was doing it out of spite, kind of like let's check up on my ex's Facebook account and crap all over it.
Yeah,
kind of feeling. But the more I play it, the more I realized that it had something special to it, and I think my feeling was vindicated. Or the feeling was solidified when I read Day9's tweet. I don't know if you're familiar who Day9 is. Mm-hmm. His tweet about the game as well echoed my convictions about the game at the time. So it's heartening to see that.
Yeah, I missed that tweet. I was just curious what he said.
I have the exact quote here. As much as I had the knee-jerk WTF mobile RTS no way reaction, I've had the chance to play CNC Rivals and it's actually pretty tight. I'm very curious to see what they'll be I'm very curious to see what it'll be like once it hits full release. Also, grats on the world champion in Control.
Yeah, it's been one heck of a ride, I think, since that initial outcry and people getting super salty. The hashtag #NotMyCNC response on Twitter and other social media. So, I mean, yeah, of course, even on the Discord, even in the Reddit groups, we still get people jump in and mobile games, lol.
But yeah, otherwise, my experience pretty much mirrors yours. I saw it at E3, went, oh, this looks awful. And it should be a Red Alert game because so many reasons. If you were going to do it.
I think there's a large amount of people who can relate to that feeling. Red Alert, please.
Oh yeah, I figured, okay, this is the cartoony kind of graphics that I kind of picture the Red Alert universe being, and you've somehow decided to go with Tibdawn universe. You've added nukes for some reason, and introduced characters that we don't care about. Kane looks awful in your trailer, and he really does. And I'm gonna have to play it on my really tiny phone, which, if you've ever played an RTS on your phone before this, was really, really a bad idea.
Yeah,
tell me
the
about
Red
it.
Alert mobile game for iOS, which is a game I actually really loved, wasn't exactly the poster child for RTS on mobile. Gameloft also did a StarCraft clone that was very similar. But yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but they made 3 of them. They were really popular for a while. But I do have to say that the graphics for the super alpha build or the public alpha was pretty rough, to say the least.
Oh yeah, whenever a new update comes, we always pay attention to the big things, but it's amazing how many little changes along the way have happened. Even just in the last patch, it's like, oh well, all the sounds are slightly better, and the bikes have little brake noises and things.
Oh, the smoke effect. the gunfire, the idle animations.
Even like the ion cannon to
Oh, yeah.
cloud. Okay, yeah, it broke the game temporarily whilst Mav sat there darkening everyone's screen.
I thought that was intense because like in Renegade, when the ion cannon appears, it gets dark and it starts raining as the clouds start ionizing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing, but after the strike, it does eventually go back to normal, whereas certain people were having it. After every strike, the screen got progressively darker and darker until you just couldn't see the game. Which, if you were going up against the whole drone spam Solomon thing, meant by the time they were about to hit your base that third time, you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some pretty bad bugs along the way, but thankfully anyone coming in at release won't have to deal with, for example, being stuck at the main menu because the fuel tutorial won't stop happening.
Or
being so popular that you can't log in anymore, hey Jade?
Yeah, it had too many friends. Or how about simply just not being able to control any of your units?
Ah, yes, I remember that one too. That lasted a surprisingly long time.
They kept trying to nail it down. That this will fix it. Okay, this one will fix it. Okay, no.
One of my favorite things was when they figured out the temporary workaround of, well, if you tap 3 fingers like 3 times, it goes away magically. And it's like, how?
Oh man. What, I mean, do we reckon that that's exactly what happened in Clash Royale, that you used to be able to control the unit, that they just couldn't figure out what the bug was and went, screw it, we'll go with it?
I mean, good of a theory as any.
But no, it's good. It's like, I mean, I was talking to John this weekend from EA, and even he was saying just the general community response, and I would 100% echo this, on the ground has been that every single patch that has come out, yeah, there are always people who sit there and go, oh no, my banshees, boo-hoo, my banshees. But every single patch has added just these tiny little touches that have gradually added up to make this even more exciting and just a more polished product. The balance seems to always take steps in the right direction. Yes, sometimes it takes steps sort of on a tangent in a side direction. I'm looking at you, current Harvester meta, but we've been getting there. You know, every little hiccup has then been solved quickly, and we've taken another step into an even better place.
Yes, the constant stream of new units has definitely surprised me too. I thought maybe they would be like, once or twice, like once every 1 or 2 months, but it's been maybe like every 3 weeks or so, maybe.
Yeah, about that. No, I expected it would be more of a, we were balancing the game and it seemed like this thing was missing, so we have to add it, rather than just, we're just going to do this every few weeks, and if we need something, we'll put it in. Otherwise, more variety and everything.
Oh yeah.
And we'll make all of the structures viable as openings, and
if you're playing GDI.
If you're playing GDI. I mean, we can only hope that Nod will eventually get something as well in that field.
I'd hope so. I'd certainly hope so.
Like, and what's also surprised me is that on the whole, I've been very happy with the new additions to the Command and Conquer armory, as I guess you would have to call it. Especially more recently, the doggos. I actually was I was very upset when I saw them. That was like my first really, since the game came out, because I've been playing 8-bit armies for a long time, and one of their expansions was like 8-bit invasion, where it was like a StarCraft inspired like space marine type faction, and one of their main attack units is this dog-looking creature with a giant cannon on its head. And then when I actually went to take a look at these guys, I learned that they were just miniaturized Mammoth Mark IIs, and then I immediately fell in love with them because the design was so obvious.
Oh yeah, no, I remember watching your stream of that initially, and hearing your reaction to the sounds they make was just perfect.
There have been so many people again on the Discord who have said that, and I wholeheartedly agree that first time you send that unit out and you're quietly hoping that this is a dog robot, and when it starts making mechanical barking noises, it's the kind of humor you wouldn't expect in a Command and Conquer game, but at the same time, it actually works. At least that's my
It's the kind of
thought.
humor you would expect from a Red Alert game for sure.
Absolutely.
Not from a Command and Conquer game, but a Red Alert game that would have been right on the nose.
I mean, I think it was 2 days after 1.2 hit. I had a bounty for using those dogs. I had no plan other than just literally for this one game, spam these dogs. I got the first missile. After that, there was no coming back. I just sat there slapping the dogs, charging them to their death. I felt so bad, but I was in absolute hysterics. I was crying with laughter.
Yeah, there's obviously a lot of a lot of charm and love put into all of these little animations and voice acting.
Yeah, even the things like the Wolverine with its stomp as it like walks across just a little line.
And
Brilliant.
the like what Jade said when they added the bikes, the bike brake noise. I nearly started cracking up laughing and almost woke up my wife. I was very amused that they had added something like that to the game.
And the screeching tires, the fact that they pop little wheelies when they first set off.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much charm and character hidden in that low level. And just to jump back, I do wholeheartedly have to agree with you, Jen, that a lot of the units we're seeing, okay, of course, some of them are old mainstays of the franchise. Like if we do see the Avatar, obviously we've got the Mammoth. They've added things like the APCs. But the new additions, I don't know. I was worried when they said that they weren't just going to be dealing with old CNC franchise units, that they were going to be adding some of their own. But they've actually really worked. It's almost like the devs, I know it sounds so trite when you hear someone say like, oh yeah, the devs are massive fans of the series and they've clearly got a lot of love and passion for this. But they really, really do. You can see that these guys have sat down and gone, this is the universe. What else can we fit into this?
Oh yeah, and every new unit, it's like they don't just add the unit, they also add lore to it and everything and how it fits into that universe. And it's actually pretty well thought out. Everything has its place and makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been what's the word I'm looking for? I have been brought down a peg several times. Every time I complain about a unit not making sense, and then the lead developer, Greg Black, will say, "Well, have you read the description?" And so I was like, what are these rock worms? These crazy, like these crazy subterranean whatever. It's like, how come they're not called Montauk's? Like, where's the Montauk network? And he's like, well, that's the dress. They are basically Montauk's. They're just version 2.0.
Yeah.
No. I just think we just was like, I think I killed the mood by talking about the rock worms because no one really knows what to talk about them because the meta really doesn't let you bring them into gameplay a lot.
Not for a while, anyway.
No.
I'm looking forward to the day when my precious rock worms do come back into the meta.
I'm sorry to tell you that was several months ago. You've missed it.
Well, we're hoping by global launch, surely, that pretty much everything will have its place. Even, yes, artillery.
I mean, that's a big ask, but I have confidence that everything will have its place eventually. Just probably not at launch. It's a little close.
So Jade,
Enough.
what are your thoughts on the current meta as it stands and how it's been evolving since alpha? And like, what are you like?
Oh, just ask the easy questions, right? No. I mean, if you look at the meta at the start of alpha, I can safely say that nothing was balanced. I think, with the exception of no, there are no exceptions. Everything has changed since the start of alpha. It's kind of crazy, and these haven't even been small changes. It's been big things like, oh, well, rifles don't hurt vehicles almost at all anymore. It used to be in the alpha you could build rifles, and if you built them in large enough numbers, they'd kill rhinos.
Oh yeah.
But no, it's been really interesting to see it evolve over time. Like every so often, there's something that's popped up and been terrible, but for the most part, that's both decreased in how terrible those things have been and how frequent that has been. Like early on, there was a meta where the basilisk was broken, and it's like, it was so broken that you couldn't build ground units for that whole meta. And it's like, and people...
Right, yeah, I don't remember that bit.
Well, it's been a long time, and not a lot of people had it at the time, which is good.
Oh yeah.
A better example you might actually write to, Benzie, would be if you were around for the War Factory meta, where they initially buffed rhinos and pit bulls to the extent that the barracks stopped existing, and air wasn't actually good at that point. So it was just like, okay, we all play War Factory builds now. I hope you upgrade your tanks, because that's all that matters.
What are your thoughts on the current meta then, both of you?
Doggos have changed everything, as far as I'm concerned. Doggos, simply by adding a mech infantry analog that allows you to go War Factory first to fight a lot of the early spam that you would probably like before then. Like going War Factory was almost risky, not too risky, but you really wanted those cheap units out there fast. And with the drones, you could go air, and with the barracks, you could go ground, obviously. But now that GDI has all three ready to go, as far as my experience playing against GDI players and slogging through the Masters and Platinum League to get to Tiberium League, there's so much more diversity in the GDI meta as it stands.
I mean, I'm going to have to disagree with you that you can open air, but other than that, I do agree that the diversity is definitely higher than it's ever been. There's a couple things missing here and there. GDI air still needs some work, but for the most part, yeah, we're seeing War Factory openings other than just Alicia. And we're seeing, who, for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, has been trying to force War Factory opens since the beginning of the game.
I think it was only 2 weeks ago that she put her first infantry into like her build, and just the outcry, the rage that she felt at having to add shockwave troopers to her build. I've never seen someone so angry.
It turns out that all of Terminus really likes their infantry, and that's what causes her problems because we all play them. So,
I mean, all I ever really do is play Chem Warriors, regardless of whether or not they're appropriate.
I mean, they are fun, and they're actually in a pretty good place right now. But
I didn't get it in Champions. I had that goal of on Tug of War trying to connect the two Tiberium fields with one Catalyst missile explosion, wiping out all three pads. I nearly did it. My Chem Warrior unit on one side died at the last second and broke the chain.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I was looking forward to a nice replay of that.
But speaking of Champions and saying that no one opens GDI Air, Jade, what deck were you running through Champions for the most part?
In fairness, I did not open air. I opened with missile troopers. But my deck was strong arm, missile, jump jet, sniper, drone, orca, hammerhead. Now, I will tell you right now, if you happen to be playing at the top of Tiberium, this deck does not work. It is very close, but it doesn't work. A lot of the reason it doesn't work, outside of Nod Air's a little too strong for it right now, but not a lot of people are running Nod Air, so that's not too big of an issue. The biggest reason it doesn't work is because we play each other a lot in succession, and if you can predict my build, it fails, which is why all the way up to Champions, I haven't talked about this build with anyone. So I went in with this build, and I kind of figured, okay, the pool's bigger than it's ever been because we go all the way down to Platinum. So what's the chances I'll get any repeat games? And for the first, 16 games or so, it's like, yeah, I'm just crushing people. I fight Coda once, and he's caught completely off guard and just loses instantly. And it's like, and then I hit Mav, and it's like, closer match, but still off guard. And then you get to
he was so angry at that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, drones, honestly, in my opinion, are balanced right now, but that doesn't make them not annoying to some people. So, but anyway,
especially when you come across that drone and Solomon build.
Oh yeah.
I imagine that surprised a lot of
Yeah,
people.
that's like I'm just now climbing up the Tiberium ranks, but I've only fought maybe two of those Solomon ion cannon builds, and they have always caught me off guard. I have no idea how I'm supposed to handle all that air, all those like repetitive shots.
Eventually you get used to it and it's not too hard to counter. It's just that initial shock value that really is what it makes it strong.
I put up a replay of Champions on that one where the first time I ever encountered it, I gave up. I gave up halfway through and just went, you know what? If you're going to directly attack my base, I'm going to do it to you. And amazingly, I pulled in by literally 1 or 2 HP with an Orca just about
I
to reload.
saw that replay, and I can't. I feel like that Orca was bugged, because there is no way that Orca waited 10 years for you to finish it with a single widow. Like, that was an insane.
I just slipped in a couple of dollars.
That was an insane replay. I can't. Beautiful. It's one for the ages.
But yeah, no, Champions has been a lot of fun. There's still some things to work out with it, as there has been with every new thing, but I'm sure by launch they'll have it down right.
It's interesting, obviously, on that as well, seeing all the new community guys coming in, like Playoff Beard and Full Court Jester joining around about the time that was announced.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
When Four Court Jester popped into my stream, I was pretty humbled, for sure. And now Bike Rush, and they're all coming back, and it's because Bike Rush came in early, and it was like, I can't do this, and he came back a few times, and I tried to talk him into playing, and the game basically won him over without me or anyone else trying to poke him for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at just the big systems that have gone in since launch, and it's really, we're playing a completely different game from what the pre-alpha was initially.
Yeah, and with so much yet to come, I'd imagine, as well.
Oh yeah, going to be a lot of fun to see what they cook up next.
I know there's been some talk of addressing the issue of people rushing up into Masters League and being stuck with level 6, level 7 units, not enough for challenge matches, and no real way to get much in the way of cards.
Yeah, I had a coworker who dropped out of. He lost interest when he hit that wall.
Yeah, there's still a couple of walls.
Yeah.
I do think the increased player numbers at launch will fix a lot of that, because you have to realize right now there's like 3 different skill levels in Tiberium League. That should probably be like 3 different leagues.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means I'm probably going to be back down in Masters 3 coming there.
I think we were teasing Greg Blackwell. He was in one of the general chats about a blue Tiberium, blue Tiberium League nested inside of the Tiberium League.
I mean, that is pretty much what we have now. It's just marked by the first 20 numbers on the leaderboard is all.
Yeah, and that's quite a tough shell to crack. I mean, when I first hit Tiberium League and 1.2 first launched because of the reduced player numbers there, I found myself being matched amongst some of those people. And I was not ready. I really was not ready. I wept into my phone at how not ready I was.
Yeah, one of the things that surprised me most, especially recently, is how different the metas in different leagues are. Like, all of Masters and all of Lower Tib right now is like all double Harvester, go, you're going to win. And if you do that in Upper Tib, you just die.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, like that beautiful replay you shared earlier today.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that which one was that? Was that the guy who bike crushed me? Or...
guy who bike crushed you, and then you just beautifully body block him with standard rifleman, bring your missile troops in, and done.
I shared that because the thing about that replay is they succeeded at their bike crush. Like, I didn't see it in time, and it didn't matter. I think my Harvester left with like 1 health on it and lived. It was kind of insane.
Yeah, and then the guy shifts into double Harvester seconds later. It's like you've gone from the slow build, the fast rush strategy, to suddenly the slow build strategy. 2 of the what would have been quite risky strategies in earlier leagues, and you're now trying to throw both of them together into one.
Yeah, it's like, one risk doesn't work, just start another. It'll be fine. And it turns out, no, it really isn't. But I am curious if they had done that against someone who was in lower Tib or Masters, if they would have succeeded and been fine with one of those two things?
I've bike rushed lower Tib people a couple of times when I've like matched against someone and worked out they don't have much in the way of early defenses, come back and match them again, go in and bike rush, and it can work, or rather it did work prior to this current meta. This current meta, I do have to agree with a lot of the feeling out there that it kind of has swung a little bit too hard in the favor of that with the increased health and the reduced reward combined, a bike rush it's not worth it anymore. If you're successful with a bike rush, you're still in a worse off position than if you just open normally.
I mean, bike rushes honestly haven't been worth it for a while once you get past a certain point. But yeah, that has definitely shifted it down a significant amount to just not
any
being
sort
worth it.
of change that makes double harvester in some capacity viable in the upper echelons of rivals competitiveness. I find like in a perfect world, every single unit, every single strategy is equally viable.
Mhm.
But when you have absolutely nobody ever going double harvester and the higher tiers of gameplay, that's a symptom of there's something wrong with that system. And so I feel those changes to the harvesters are a step in the right direction because it's less incentive for these cheesy rushes that catch early players way off guard.
On the one hand, I agree with you. It is a problem. We've had double harvester be viable at the top of the ladder a few times, but it's been very rare. But the problem is those double harvester builds aren't being shut down up here because of rushes. No one up here rushes because we know how to fend them off. Defending double harvester hasn't been a problem. A lot of the problem has been either if I go for a tech build, I lose the first missile, guaranteed, and then I have to build something that's going to be strong enough to immediately win 2 missiles. There isn't enough time for tech to build up and just be like, oh, I get an incremental advantage of my Titans can beat your tanks, and I can build Wolverines, and I can build a Juggernaut to support them. Like, that's not a thing. It's just like, okay, I can build one tech unit. I can build it in mass. I have to win now. I guess I'll just mass Titans or Zone Troopers or Mammoth tanks, you know? And that's kind of where we're having the problem on tech right now. I don't think it's a harvester problem.
But I do notice that you're naming a lot of GDI tech units. How come we don't have a lot of nod tech units being thrown around?
Oh boy.
Well, because until very recently, nod tech hasn't been strong enough to be played. I think it is now. I think the Widowmaker in particular actually added the stability nod tech needs. But the problem now is that it's like, okay, we got a new unit that adds that. Now you just have to level it up to, 11 or 12 and also upgrade all those other nod tech units that you've been ignoring this whole time. And then you can play nod tech.
Yeah, it's actually...
It's gonna take a while to actually propagate.
That was
up
really
here.
nice, actually, with champions reducing the cap for me, because since the Widowmakers launched, I've pretty much requested nothing but Widowmakers. I've been doing everything in my power to get more Widowmaker cards and get those right up. They're currently sitting at fully upgraded level 9. So when we got champions come along, and that's capped us all to level 10. Suddenly, Widowmakers, it wasn't a problem for me to run them in my deck anymore. I didn't feel like, here's my level 11 deck with level 9 Widowmakers. And I ran that build that you suggested, Jade. Oksana with Widowmakers and Cyborgs, bikes and buggies, militants and lasers. And of all the match, I kept swapping my deck just to have fun through champions. That was the one that consistently did the best. It consistently would just surprise people that out of nowhere, you're running your basic nod build, and then suddenly, spider bots and cyborgs. And they're powerful units because it's simply just because they do support so well. I mean, you look at a Rockworm, what's it weak to? Infantry and air. Oh, look, the Widowmaker counters both of those. Flame Tank is weak to air. The Widowmaker helps you with that. They just kind of support everything on there, which at this point in time is great because it means that nod tech is theoretically viable, but it does mean you're kind of having to run Widowmakers and nod tech. You can't go in with Cyborgs and Flame Tank or whatever. It's Widowmakers plus.
Well, One step at a time.
Exactly. We've got to that point, so let's hope that we can tweak that and get the rest of it in.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a really solid first step, and I'm glad it'll be there at launch.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, every time there's a new patch with new units and everything, I always sit down and friendly battle like for the rest of the afternoon that patch is released just to see how everything's doing. And I was truly shocked at how good non-tech builds ended up being when I did that.
Yeah, I remember watching those replays with Hobo.
I need to get on some of those friendly matches. I'm never really
Yeah
around most of the time because of my schedule, but
well, you know, just ping me or Hobo or Blade or whoever happens to be on. A lot of us are willing to do
Yeah,
them.
absolutely. I'm always happy to be around as well. But in fairness, if you're, I'm just going to out there and say it, if you're not sure about the new unit, I might have a new video about it.
This is true. You have been very on top of the new units this time around.
Yeah, I
especially.
haven't done a doggo one yet.
I made one really nice Kim Warriors video, and I haven't had any sort of I just don't have the, I guess the word I'm looking for is I don't have the inspiration that you do, Benzie, to like get stuff out there and talk about it. So
it harkens back to what we were saying at the beginning, that I think a lot of us came into this game out of spite, that we weren't expecting it to be quite as enjoyable as it was. And I kind of sat down to myself and said, look, I was wrong. How many people are missing out on a great game purely because they don't want to play it because of a bad reveal and a bit of bad press at the start? I just wanted to get out there and tell people, hey, this game's great, come play it. Probably going to shoot myself in the foot when suddenly all of those people are better than me and I'm sitting down in gold.
Oh yeah, there was definitely a slight shock to the system when I guess they're bringing a lot more people. I guess a lot more whales are coming on board. They were very shocking to see. Like, I love new people; these are good names, but they're all level 12s for some reason, and I don't know where they came from.
And then out of nowhere, you match with Iraqi Zorro, who is a professional, as in like proper pro Vainglory player. Obviously, we know Nivmet used to work on Vainglory. I said a couple of the devs on Rivals. And he's come across. He started playing. I matched up against him the other day. There's me with my level 10, level 11 deck. Him with level 6, 7, and 8 units. And he 2-0'd me out of nowhere. I sat down at the end. I was like, I'm not even mad.
Absolutely. No, one of the amazing things that I've noticed about this game is like, even after they've added the microtransactions, we have people who have level 13, 14 units, which is higher than I have by a fair bit. And you'll notice none of them are at the top of the leaderboard. No. The amount that skill matters in this game is just shocking. I would not have bet on that when I first heard, oh, we're going to add microtransactions and have levels for units.
Oh yeah, when I was streaming last week and I went up against those level 12s and level 11s, those new ones, it was very apparent that they still needed to learn how to play. So
yeah,
it's like unit levels. I get unit levels have an impact in certain matchups specifically, but with the way the fair play system's in place, I don't know. I really don't see it as a big thing.
Yeah, definitely not the concern I had going in, and especially with more people coming in and the leagues getting filled out better, I can only imagine that the fair play system's going to be that much more effective.
It is a godsend for sure. So Benzie,
yo.
So you make a lot of videos, right, for Rivals?
I've been working on 2 series currently. Acting on Instinct, which I thought was a very clever name. I'm wondering how many people will get that reference, but
not enough.
Aimed at players who've completed the tutorial, have started playing the game and might be confused as to where they're going wrong. So I wanted to look at things like the Tiberium economy and population cap, things that aren't necessarily explained overly well, just as a sort of this is the advanced system underneath the skin of the game sort of thing.
Yeah, excellent videos. I've started linking them to basically every new player I know. So
bless you. Thank you very much.
I definitely wish Discord had a much more involved pinning system, like maybe like another window that you could scroll down, because I would love for those videos to have more exposure when, like as Jade said, new players are coming in, and we have the community, the Command & Conquer Rivals community Discord, and we have a new players channel.
every time I upload a new one of those videos, I drop it into about 4 or 5 different Alliance Discords. It's on my personal Twitter. It's on the Reddit. Beyond that as well, I am part of the EA Game Changer program. I don't get paid or anything for that, but do have assistance with assets, etc. There is talk of like those videos being pushed a bit more through the actual developer team and through the actual game team. So fingers crossed those will begin to reach new players. Same with the second series Intel report, which is just that kind of, this is what this unit does. Here's a couple of tips of how to use it. You know, if you're struggling against the Titan, what do you use to counter it? If you've just unlocked artillery, should you put it in your deck?
Not yet.
No.
What a heartbreaker unit that was.
Not yet.
Those kind of burning questions. Oh, I don't know. I still love artillery. I cannot wait until the day that's fixed.
Still, I will look forward to your Intel report where you try to explain any redeeming qualities it currently has.
It genuinely has some. I did a couple of friendly matches on Tug of War. You get an artillery onto that backpad pointing across the middle, and you are laughing.
Fair
okay,
enough.
that's 1 map out of 30.
Do you happen to know of any other community things going on, or anything that any community like events or projects that are starting to creep up now that Command & Conquer is starting to resuscitate?
We know that Mercenaries are running a tournament very soon. That's sort of a fan-run tournament for a prize of, I think, $100. I imagine after global launch, we'll see more and more of that, especially when, the devs have talked about introducing friendly battles with people outside of your alliance as well, like on your friends list, which makes that tournament seem much easier to run. We've got a lot of old professional players from various different games. I've mentioned Araki Zoro, an ex-scoundrel from Vainglory, I think Too Easy, who's a Mortal Kombat professional player, and a couple of other StarCraft players that I've come across. So I really do envision there being a tournament scene for starters building around this.
Oh, yeah. Now, EA's announced full esports support, too. Like, they're pretty serious about this from what it sounds like, which I have to admit was a surprise to me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, wow, I want to, like, with the E3 reveal, as misguided as some of their decisions might have been, EA was, the one thing you did get a sense of is that EA was 100% behind this. They spent a significant amount of time not talking about Star Wars to talk about Command & Conquer, and having a full-blown stage and a whole like faux tournament environment. And so I imagine that things got a little frosty during the reveal, but as the confidence of the product has grown with the quality of the game, I can't imagine why EA wouldn't put everything behind this, even though it still surprises me that they did.
Absolutely. I am very glad that they are supporting Rivals as much as they are.
And that's a good thing for Command & Conquer fans who, after, the big cancellations back in the old Tiberium series, back when StarCraft 2 was first a thing, and they were doing, it was just called Command & Conquer at that point, wasn't it? The sort of, the new PC one that ended up getting cancelled.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 was released, I would say, about, was it like almost 4 years after Command & Conquer 3 came out. And so when StarCraft 2 was coming out, they really, like, RTS felt like it was back. So I was really excited for whatever was going to be happening next with Command & Conquer. And at first it was Generals 2, announced at like the Spike Game Awards, I believe it was. The very last one they did, I think. And then it evolved into that, like, Command & Conquer as a service. Like, we're going to marry all the Command & Conquer franchises together. Oh yeah, it's just like I'm a pretty big Command & Conquer. I'm not a good Command & Conquer player. I just love the lore. I love the game. I've got my wife had a custom ring made that looks like a Tiberium vein. I have a Tiberium tattoos. I would buy merchandise for Command & Conquer if they sold merchandise for Command & Conquer. Yeah.
Yeah, they really need to get on that. I would very much like that.
That would be amazing if we could ship it to Zimbabwe.
It's an exciting time for Command & Conquer fans because of the resurgence of the brand. But more specifically, the new announcement of the At first, they announced that they were working on a remaster, and now the pipe dream of every Command & Conquer fan has become a reality, and that EA is now working with Petroglyph to remaster the games in 4K with the original developers. It's almost like Westwood is back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with no microtransactions, with no DLC. Oh, it's almost like AAA devs are beginning to listen.
No, the remasters are long overdue. It was pretty unforgivable that we had to wait through Age of Empires being remastered, and then years later StarCraft being remastered, and then a couple more years before we got here when the Command & Conquer, especially the old Command & Conquer games, have not worked well on modern systems for a long time.
The heroic efforts,
Not without the heroic efforts of the community, which, while they're great, you still can't upscale the videos, and you still can't make Tiberian Sun play nicely with OBS. And
talking about those videos quickly as well, was I the only one who was slightly disappointed that when you went between the leagues, you didn't have a little video of Kane popping up and congratulating you in that typical?
Well, now I want it to do that. I didn't even think about that, but now I need that. Like, if you're GI taunts you, if you're not, you're like, rise up.
I wouldn't even necessarily.
Okay, Benzie, I'm sorry. You've ruined Rivals forever. Podcast over. No. No, Mr. Black has said, though, that when you unlock Nod, there's going to be a line from Kane now.
Yeah, Joseph Kukin is starting to tease a lot of interesting things on his Facebook. He simply shared Petroglyph's announcement about Command & Conquer and said, see you soon, for whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that means we're getting those videos redone.
Well, for those who don't know, Joseph Kukin was... I don't know if he was part of the team, but I think he was hired specifically to shoot these FMVs.
He was an acting trainer.
He was a director for
that's what I was getting
original
to.
Command & Conquer, original Red Alert, and Tibdawn.
Apparently, the story goes that he was shooting some test videos of some guy screaming at the camera, and the dev team liked him so much that they cast him as the main bad guy, Kane. And he's in the Guinness World Book of Records for the longest tenure in a video game character. But he famously said in several interviews that he would never play Kane again, and EA would have to give him a literal dump truck full of money at his doorstep in order for him to play Kane again. And so for him...
I really want to see photos of that dump truck.
So either he is, and that's just a very nice way of him saying that he's not really happy with his relationship with EA, and so he just didn't want to bother it anymore. But now with this, now with the old crew coming back together, I think he's a lot more warmed up, and I would love to hear some fresh Joseph Kukin lines, fresh Kane lines, and as far as remaking the Command & Conquer FMVs for Red Alert and Command & Conquer, as far as I remember, they still have the raw footage that was taped before it was transferred with all the green screen. And so my hope would be that they basically just remaster the video, redo all the 3D sets, and upscale it to 4K, and then also redo all that really ugly looking CGI.
Hey, it was very impressive at its time.
At the time, but like if you go to like Red Alert 2 CGI is really good, kind of still really good. But Command & Conquer 1 CGI, is atrocious. It's really bad. It's as a kid I didn't notice it. As an adult, when I work with 3D modeling, and I have my own like very limited talented skill set. When an early nod video of your some bikes and some buggies going past a forest, and the forest is quite literally a billboard that's brought up into the foreground, that's like probably not even a foot away from the actual CGI vehicles, it just didn't age well. But for failing them actually remastering the old footage, Joe Kukin coming back to recast everybody, that'd be okay with me, Benzie.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
So, do you guys have any other issues or hopes for Rivals or Command and Conquer as it stands?
As long as we're on the remasters, I actually just replayed both the original Command and Conquer and Red Alert, and I'm seriously hoping they redo a lot of the campaign missions.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Red Alert 1, you go through the campaign, you have to kill every single unit and every single structure, and there's these pillboxes that are nearly invisible, and there's a couple maps where they hide them behind trees, so you actually can't see them.
That's part of the charm.
Or that whole one of destroy the base, and you don't destroy the base, you have to destroy everything except the base.
Oh, yes. Or the mission where it says, capture the chronosphere, and you lose instantly if you actually capture it with an engineer. That's the sort of stuff I'm looking to get fixed in the remasters.
Yeah, I guess that one's pretty insignificant.
Yeah, and the thing is, the gameplay holds up. It's actually pretty good. It's just little things like that, little tweaks that no one will notice along the way because no one remembers playing it, that I'm really hoping they do.
Red Alert 1, they really tried to have some kind of fun, interesting map, like win conditions. Because Command & Conquer 1, almost every single one of them, blow up a specific structure or blow up the base or survive with the commando. And so with Red Alert, you had like protect the convoy or kill the spy or like capture the chronosphere or go inside of the tunnel networks and what have you. But because
there's a whole nuclear reactor level in that's particularly great.
But thing is, that was their first time ever doing something like that, so it's all rough. It's all second thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting you'd come onto this topic as well. I actually had a guy, CNCNet on Twitter today, put up, would you want to see a build queue system in a Command and Conquer or a Red Alert remaster?
Oh, that's contentious.
The answer is yes. Yes, I would.
I was just going to say this is my notifications have not been the same all afternoon. Just because a guy had put no same old game, better graphics, compatibility with modern ONS. That's all. No need to change anything on it. Leave new features to new games. Remasters are meant to bring the old experience back, not rewash it. Now, this is what the danger with remasters always is, because you get half of the people go, no, we still want to have all the bugs left in as it was. Other people go, well, no, it's a remaster. It's a new game, like taking an old game and bringing it to a new generation. I can't imagine that the devs purposefully left out build queues. I can't believe the devs purposefully didn't include all these wonderful functions that the RTS genre has grown, like macroing. So should those be included to put it back to original?
The other thing is they're remastering the original Command & Conquer and the original Red Alert. These are not huge multiplayer games that have competitive communities like, say, the StarCraft remaster did. We can afford to make those tiny changes to how the UI works and update it.
Yeah, because StarCraft 2 Remastered had to be compatible with the actual live client of StarCraft.
Yep.
So they couldn't change anything.
And the thing is, if you absolutely hate whatever they end up doing for the remaster, the originals are there. The community has kept them working. And for the most part, I believe EA has also released them for free. So if you haven't played Command & Conquer, go play it. It's free. It's still quite good.
I think everything up to Tiberium Sun is freeware.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Tiberium Sun, I think, is the first one that's still under copyright lock.
No. Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge. That's where you have to start paying. They still make a lot of money, apparently.
Well, Red Alert 2 is very good. Next thing I hope gets remastered would be Red Alert 2 and Tibdawn.
Well, if you've seen CNC Online in China, Red Alert 2 is already halfway remastered.
I have. It gives me great hope and great surprise that was not the first thing that got remastered.
Yeah, I was very surprised too. Making changes to remasters is a very interesting new problem that developers have had to deal with. Even Ocarina of Time for the 3DS, they had internal development strife between programmers who wanted to fix old bugs and, like you said, programmers who wanted to keep the bugs as they were because that was part of the experience. Even such things as moving the cursor from, like when you save the game, the cursor's already on no, so you have to move it to yes. But the developers wanted to move it just to be on yes, so you can save faster. But even then, they fought because that wasn't the way the game was.
Oh, just wait until you get the battles over. Should right-click be allowed in the new Command & Conquer game?
It kind of already is if you used all the fan stuff.
I mean, yes, but that's not traditionally how it works.
That's the point. And to give an example of this, to just take a step out of Command & Conquer for a brief moment, the Dark Souls remaster caused this exact same issue because the devs decided that in certain cases, we're going to add quality of life improvements. So you don't have to hand over one Covenant item at a time anymore. You can now actually just give all 30 in one go rather than save that 10 minutes of your life. On the other hand, things like PvP, you can still do the roll through someone and it's still just backstab. It's using the backstab glitch because that was purposefully left in. And some people love that, oh yeah, it's still exactly the same. And there's other people going, no, this was clearly broken in the beginning. Why wasn't this fixed? And so to go back and add things like unit queuing and to change like Red Alert, as you said, like with those hidden pillboxes and capture the base and then you lose when you capture it. To me, that's just taking it closer to its the actual original vision for the game. The devs had an idea of what this game was supposed to be, but they couldn't implement it with the tech that they had at the time. Now that we have that tech, should we not try and get it to what it was supposed to be? That's my thoughts on it. But
well, we would say things are supposed to be. I mean, these are some of the earliest RTSs that ever existed. So things like quality of life wasn't like at the time. Their quality of life was like, maybe we shouldn't make it so where you have to build pavement first before you place buildings.
Yep.
Like they weren't thinking about unit queues, and because those computers back in the day, remember these were like VGA graphics, 600 by 400, like that was what they were working with. And so they didn't, if you had a build queues, it was something that was the back of their mind because players were already zoomed in. They were used to having the sidebar clicking all the time. It just wasn't the back of their mind until StarCraft came around and added the queues to the multiple buildings, because that was really the only way you can handle multiple buildings building different units.
Yeah, so and things like macroing units together as well was very much a StarCraft thing, was it not? Do I recall that StarCraft was the first one where you could actually highlight multiple units, macro them to one keybind, tap that keybind?
Oh no, that was actually Command & Conquer. Dune 2 did not have that, but Command & Conquer did, because that was quality of life. So they didn't just say, we don't need build queues, we don't need right click to move, because it was just iteration from the last game.
Yeah.
It wasn't something they were thinking of. So going back and adding a new element to the design of the game changes how they designed the game altogether, because it wasn't part of their thought process. It's not like they actively said, we don't want that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's a good idea from 10 years in the future. Or well, actually more like 3. But details. At the same time, like I know some people who still want modem support for Command & Conquer. I mean, it's in the code, but I mean, I've used modem play, but I still see that option for null modem. Who has null modem cables?
It's 2018.
Hopefully nobody this time.
So like, do you just abandon that altogether? Because they already said it's gonna have online and LAN support, and skirmish wasn't a thing either for the original Command & Conquer. I think Covert Ops added skirmish. I can't remember.
Covert Ops did not add skirmish. It just had a bunch of missions that were added on top of it.
Yeah, so like the original Command & Conquer, you couldn't fight the computer. The only way you can have that kind of gameplay was another player.
Yep. The community mods eventually added AI very much after the fact, but nothing official.
Yeah, I think with what you said, Jade, was with Covert Ops, they added a mission where you had to destroy the other base, and it was like a very basic skirmish mission with you only choose one map, and it was the bad guy was always Nod or GDI depending on your faction. So was there any other Command & Conquer news, things you wanted to you wanted to discuss, or do you think we're ready to wrap it all up? Last call for any issues or topics.
Personally, I think I've covered everything I had notes for.
Really looking forward to seeing what happens at launch with Rivals and seeing what happens with the remasters. All has been very promising so far.
Looking forward to seeing a lot of new blood joining the game, getting as excited about all of this as we have been, and getting to share an old franchise that we've loved with a whole bunch of new people. I'm all for that.
Oh yeah, even these last few months, as we've kind of gone through the soft launch, as they add more countries, it's just been spectacular. I can't imagine how much more enjoyable the game is going to become when we have millions more players to share it with.
Well, I agree on all fronts and all counts. So just can't wait to see what's in store. Rivals has exceeded my expectations. I'm very excited for it all. I think all three of us are pretty big streamers.
I don't stream myself, just because I don't have the tech to support it. It's just me and my videos. But I've sat and watched a couple of your streams and of Jade.
Well, ladies first, Jade. Do you want to plug your...
Sure. I don't stream as much as I'd like, but I do stream fairly often. I'm twitch.tv/JadeXyan. Otherwise, you can find me around the Discord pretty easily. I'm almost always on because I work on the computer at home anyway. So,
right. And of course, I try to stream at least twice a week on twitch.tv/GenSilos, GenSilos. I know that can be kind of tricky when you're saying it out loud. So check us all out on the Discord. I'm also on the Discord as well. I'm really glad you could join us for this first episode of Commander's Corner. We have more to come, and we have much more to discuss as the game evolves. So thank you all for joining. See you next time.
See you later.
Yep, bye.